We are live. I feel like that always just like happens. Like suddenly. You're live. What are your guesses on how many people read Moby Dick?
Actually read it?
Or will be here?
I don't know. What's the usual turnout for a live for you?
I have no idea. I haven't done one since we did one back in
May.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was longer ago than that. Okay.
I feel like 3 people are going to have read it.
Okay. If you guys are here, tell us if you read Moby Dick. You can still be here, even if you didn't read it.
Hey, Penny.
Penny's here. Got one. Yeah, I have no idea. I've never done a live book club.
Oh.
I did a book club type thing like I think the first summer I was on BookTube, so like 3 years ago. But I don't think those were live. I don't remember that far back. Catherine's here and she read it.
Okay.
Penny's here. Yeah, Penny, that's fine. Be here, even if you didn't read it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Read it.
Okay.
Oh, we got an overachiever. Listen to it twice. Nice. How many was that now? 3?
That was 3, so.
See, anyone else has read it? You listened to it?
I did.
Yeah. You listened to most of your books?
Yeah.
I heard that there was a good audiobook. I don't find I can listen to classics.
Oh.
Or I don't listen to very many books in general, but I feel like classics especially.
You just feel like your mind wanders?
Yeah. There's so many words, and my brain is like, squirrel, way over here. I'm curious, Penny, if after our discussion this pushes you one way or another. Holly and I haven't talked about our thoughts at all.
Nope.
So I did read your Goodreads review, though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was like, oh, she left a review. Yeah. I only did that after I finished it.
Oh, okay, good.
Read it many times. My favorite book ever. Oh, no.
Wow.
That gives me a little bit of pressure here.
That's high praise.
Easier, to listen because the language and flow. That does make sense. That does make sense. Hey, Christy.
I have to look up my Goodreads review because it was so long since.
Yeah, you read it a long time ago. Free Audible version. Oh, I didn't even know there was one. Oh. And it was great. I feel like I didn't look at the audio versions, but I feel like there would have been quite a few. With classics, usually there is.
Yeah. I just got the first one that came available to me, so I didn't really research it.
You're looking up at your review?
Yep.
Yeah, I just happened to, when I went to rate it, I was like, oh, Holly reviewed it. So let's see.
Where did it go?
Favorite classic book. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Favorite classic. Do you have a favorite classic book? You've been reading a lot of classics this year.
I don't know, because like a traditionally classic book, I don't think I do have a favorite, but like Princess and the Goblin is classic.
Yeah.
So I would say that one, but it's not really one that people think about when they think of classics. But it would probably be that one.
That's one we have very different opinions
like on. This thick.
Yeah. I really don't like that book. That's okay. We have different opinions on a lot of books, but I think we kind of fell in a similar spot with this book.
You know what? So. Let's see. Okay, good. Okay. I couldn't find it for a second, but there it is. So, yay.
You can remember. You read it like
beginning of June,
yeah. Because I know I had started it and I was like on page like 30. And you're like, I'm done. Oh dear, it's going to take me a while.
Yeah. I shouldn't have done it that way.
Welcome here. Well, I wanted to start it so I didn't feel rushed.
Mm-hmm.
Then I forget things. So I pretty much read it at the lake last week. Most of it. And I tapped a few things. Not very many. So we'll see how long this discussion actually is. should we start off with like a star rating, finding out overall what people rated it?
Sure.
Okay. If you are a rater, out of 5 stars, what did you rate it? And if you are not usually, what would you try to rate it?
Yeah.
as?
What would you rate it?
Yeah, curious. Oh, I want to see favorite classics. Oh, I really like North and South.
I still need to read North and South.
I don't know. I like it, so just put your expectations low.
Well, I feel like I would like it, but
All Quiet on the Western Front. I have not read that one, but I'm curious about that one. I've heard interesting things. Okay, I feel like you guys started Moby Dick like in the spring-ish, Christy? Like before we did, I think. Still at 44%. Yeah, I can understand that. 4.25 stars.
ooh, that's pretty high.
70%. You're getting close there. 3 stars. 4.5 for the story. Writing was a lot. that I feel like is the perfect way to do that.
Yeah.
Say that. 4 stars.
Oh, some pretty high
Yeah.
stars.
What did you rate it?
On Goodreads, I did 2.75. I don't know if you guys care for the point.
Usually I'm like a 0.5 or nothing, but I feel there are some books that need that like extra 0.25
Yeah.
there or not. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, and I feel like Luna nailed it here. Like the story, I would rate something different than the book because there was a lot more to it than needed to be. There was a lot of words.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I have this conundrum. Like, I kind of don't like setting a deadline for a classic because I want to take my time and read it. But had I not had this book club as a deadline, I would just never finish it. It would be on my shelf, like, sitting at page like 30 or 40, wherever I got at the beginning. And then I just would never get any further.
But that's actually how I feel about most classics that I have read, I guess, is I enjoy the story more than I enjoy the storytelling.
So have you read like abridged versions of?
I don't like to, I think it's a pride thing, actually, honestly, which is not good, but it's like, I want to read the real thing.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you read it. Yeah.
But that's a bit silly.
I think like I'm thinking about like with homeschooling my kids, getting them to read a bunch of abridged versions, and then if they really like a story, if they can fall in love with the story, maybe they'd like to read all the words, but not forcing it. So then you have the idea, the background. So I did post on Instagram. I did read the graphic novel.
Yes, yeah.
This was a good story without all the words.
So what would you have rated the graphic novel out of 5 stars? On its own.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I read this while I was like halfway through this, so I feel like it helped me realize like the major plot points as I was going through, and I was like, okay, this part doesn't really matter. This part doesn't really matter. Like it's not gonna really affect the end story. Keeping in mind that it is a classic, I probably would have rated this closer to a 4, like significantly more.
Yeah. And
also, I didn't have to spend many hours reading it. Okay, where was I? A 3-star, War and Peace. Also haven't read that. Have you?
No, it's on my TBR though.
That was another one he picked? Or like, is this just a general TBR?
Just general TBR, yeah. There's War and Peace and Crime and Punishment. I always get them mixed up.
I don't know. I haven't read either.
I haven't read either.
Yeah.
But I want to read both.
Love the first 30%, the last 20%. Yeah, well, yes. Yeah. That's right. The live shows are the reward, yeah. And the pressure can be good. For sure. Well, okay. So, discussion. I didn't write any questions. We're just gonna wing it.
Yeah.
That's how I do things. I will say, like, the first page of the introduction, so like the very first page I started reading, I found out that this was actually commercial failure when he originally wrote it.
Oh.
And I read way, I was like, oh dear, this is not going to be good. And there are some good classics that were flops at the beginning, or books that authors tried to get published and they were rejected over and over again, and they're actually really good. But I'm curious to know how did this come about to become a classic? He had another book that was better, or like better received. I don't know what the title of it was, but then like, why was this one the one that he's known for?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Now I'm curious what the other book is.
I think most of his books, he had some other ones that didn't even do as good as this. I think there were a lot about whaling, or at least sailing in general.
Yeah. Marty on the Voyage Thither.
Oh, okay.
The Maldive Shark. Galapagos Islands. Yeah, very water.
I think he was a sailor and served aboard 3 whalers. So,
well, if anyone's gonna write about it,
so he's writing like he knows what he's writing about.
Yeah.
Love the first 200 pages, and it lost me. Yes. I will admit, like, there was about 200 pages where I just started skimming. Like, about halfway through, I read this, and I was like, oh, they meet a bunch of ships, and it doesn't really play into what's going to happen at all. So then I skimmed for a good portion, and then I was like, okay, the last bit. This is when things actually happen. Crime and Punishment is better than War and Peace.
Oh,
yeah, I still don't know anything about either one. So, welcome here.
Hey.
Some of the writing is beautiful. Do you have like a specific spot where you really liked the writing?
Like a quote or a snippet?
Yeah. Is the central of man trying to conquer the nature around us? Yeah, that could be what made it a classic. It's interesting. Just wanted to say hi. Well, hello. Enjoy your company. Not a favorite, my least favorite. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lull. There's a lull going on. Oh, we keep jumping here. So someone rediscovered the book years later. She's got like a whole thing going here. One of the chief literary masterpieces of both American and world literature. Interesting. I also wonder, like, because it is known as such a American piece of literature, like if this was a Canadian piece of literature, would I feel more of a connection to it? But as someone who's not an American, then I don't have like that. I don't know. Chapter 37 is beautiful writing. What was chapter 37 titled? Sunset. Okay, chapter titles. Did you notice the chapter titles as you were listening to the book?
Nope.
Sometimes you don't even have to read the chapter. It is like, Stubb and Flask kill a right whale and then have a talk over him. I mean, like, do you even need to read the chapter then?
I love titles, like chapter titles like that.
That was chapter 73. And then we've got all our like whale parts. Right from the beginning, the chapter titles were kind of bothering me. So there was a whole chapter about the pulpit. Well, first of all, there was a whole chapter about the street. Then there was one about the chapel. Then there was one about the pulpit. Then there was one on the sermon. I feel like you could just read the chapter titles and you will have read the entire book and know exactly what happened.
You should do that after this. Just go in there's a context or glossary or something. Or,
like a table of contents.
Table of contents?
There's not. But that would just be like the entire book right there. Fall from favor with reading public. Oh, I did that one. Crime and Punishment is a murder mystery about the why rather than the who. Okay. Had to read it in high school, never again. That's fair, Beth. Aren't you reading big books right now? Don't you want to reread Moby Dick? It's fine. I don't blame you. Okay, was there parts of the book that you liked or anything about the book that you...
I honestly didn't mind the book. Like I said, the story was fine. I don't know. I honestly didn't mind it. And even the very dense fact sections where he's just talking about like whale anatomy and whatnot, I found it laughable. But maybe that's just the lens I was reading it through. Like it's not meant to be comedy. But so I honestly didn't mind it. It just was too long. Yeah. Like it just could have ended way sooner.
Yeah, I feel like...
And yeah, like you said, there was so much in the story that had nothing to do with the story.
Yeah. The meeting of... Okay, well, the squid, which is a chapter title, and all the different ships that they met that were like, they were just asking if they had found Moby Dick, you know. It was a little much. And here's another good chapter title. Does the whale's magnitude diminish? Will he perish? I don't know.
I also question like the facts in the book. Like, have they been disproven nowadays because of our current technology and stuff and figuring things out? And like, I'm curious how the facts have held up through the years.
How accurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to research. I don't care to myself.
Yeah, I know, but I was thinking, like, as I was reading this, I was like, well, this would be a really good book for someone who, like, really loves whales and likes to learn. But then I was like, well, what if the information's not quite correct anymore?
Yeah.
Then
very likely it's not.
Then not even for them.
It's very rewarding. If you've read the book and watched the movie for Jaws, they both take different things from this book. Have you ever watched Jaws? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've watched Jaws. As soon as I was saying it, I was like, what am I even saying? She's Shark Lady.
Yeah.
Different. What does Jaws take from this book? I saw snippets of it when I was a kid, that's all.
I didn't realize that Jaws was somewhat inspired by this book, or is that not what you're saying? Well, the man versus an aquatic beast, the very, like, the vendetta aspect of it, I suppose, would be the unnatural tendencies of the fish or the whale, because fish and whale don't have vendettas.
This one does. Yeah, I do think the anatomy chapters, they were like, I don't know, maybe he should have included them as like footnotes. You can read them if you want, but it's not really part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just extras for the keeners that want more.
Yeah. He was telling a story, but then there's also this aspect of, and if you want to know more, read these chapters.
Yeah. He's hilarious at times. Maybe she was laughing at the same parts that you're laughing at. Oops. There's a lot of symbolism I know I'm missing. I'm always curious about classics. Like, you've had 200 years for people to read this book or so. Like, when the author wrote it, how much symbolism did he mean? And how much are people just, like, creating because it's been 200 years?
Yeah.
And, you know.
I'm very bad at reading symbolism into things.
Me too. 2 stars. You're among friends here. The science is pretty much 100% garbage.
Okay.
Well,
good to know.
We'll just like throw out everything we learned about whales.
So then that makes those chapters even more useless.
Yeah. Nice. Footnotes. Okay, here we go. For Jaws. Spent 3 hours comparing the two. Good. I have never watched
That would
Jaws.
be interesting. I would like to hear that for 3 hours.
Celestria is here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I struggled with that in school. Like, sometimes I felt like teachers were just trying to get us to look for things that weren't really there. Like, but I'm not very good at that either.
I found that because I read with my ears, I probably wouldn't have finished it if I had read it physically. So it was good for me to read it audibly.
Mm-hmm.
But you were saying it's harder for you with classics.
Well, I don't listen to many books to begin with. And so to spend the little bit of time that I do listen to things on a book that I'm not enjoying is really hard.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
But I'm also like, you listen to books when you're at work, right?
Yeah.
Often. I'm not really doing tasks where I can do that.
Yeah.
Without people interrupting me or like, it making it
That's
a little bit harder to get into a story. I did appreciate the sermon chapter because we have been going through Jonah this month through church. And so I was like, what are the odds?
That's kind of cool.
And so I appreciated the sermon on Jonah. But the funny thing is, like, I mean, I guess sermons are generally longer than the text that they're on. But he's like just retelling the story of Jonah in his own words, and it's like inserting a lot more stuff, but it gives some like interesting thoughts as to some of the physical portions of like maybe what Jonah went through.
A little bit easier to like see it in your mind, kind of thing. Yeah.
And I was surprised at like how many scriptural references there were. I mean, I guess it's a classic, so it should be less surprising. But he referenced a lot
in the beginning, I feel like.
Well, yeah, and then in the epilogue, he quotes Job, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So, yeah, that was interesting. Okay, let's see. Where was I? The fact that we know what we know is likely to change is part of the reason I enjoyed the line in the chapter about the different types of whales. That's a interesting. Yeah, so he left it out there for us in the future to realize that his information was all wrong. Oh, she's finishes it here. Nothing complete because any human thing supposed to be complete must for that very reason infallibly be faulty. That's a good quote. I don't remember reading that one. I don't remember everything I read, but I like that one. I did not pick up on that.
Me either.
Although, like, the cannibalism in general, I was like, why was it so talked about? Like, they were, everyone was cannibals. Driving, vacuuming, folding laundry, other mindless activities. Yeah, I used to, but now there's always a kid asking for my attention when I'm doing those things. So I just get frustrated because they're interrupting me.
Mm-hmm.
But I should be paying more attention to them than to my book that I'm listening to. So, yeah. I guess rereading is maybe the key. I don't reread books. Do you reread books?
Yep.
Yes, you read. Do you reread more than just your favorite? Like,
I'm not going to reread it if it's not a favorite.
so you're not going to reread Moby Dick?
I don't. This is, oh man, I dripped on. This is just from my coffee, okay? This is a whole other topic that we should maybe talk about sometime, but I don't like to read to learn. I like to read for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So something like this, if I were to reread it, for me, that would be trying to learn more about the story. And I don't care to do that. So, I want to be entertained.
Yeah, and and I think that like sometimes I read for one and sometimes I read for the other, for sure. But for me, entertainment is discovering the story. Like, I want to watch the story unfold.
Mm-hmm.
When I've already read it, I don't want to reread it because I already know how it unfolds.
Oh, I see.
And I have reread books, and there are some books I do want to reread, but very, very few.
Mm-hmm.
Because that mystery that I like to read for, of like how is the story going to end, is gone.
That's fair.
Anyway,
that makes sense.
It's a bit of a side tangent, but short stories I can get behind rereading.
I don't think I have ever reread a short story, actually.
You were just asking about Shirley Jackson's short stories, right? Have you read The Lottery?
Yeah.
Did you read that one in school?
No.
I was trying to think of who was teaching you English that year, because we read it in school, and I would have thought you would have had that same teacher.
In grade 8 or 9?
No, it would be like grade 11.
Oh. Nicole?
Yeah. 11, 12. I'm sure we read that.
Maybe I did, and I forgot.
That one stuck with me. And so I do reread that one because it's fascinating. See, someone puts me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to talk about Captain Ahab. Well, actually, so when before they were on the boat, the ship, and that guy kind of like foreshadowed a little bit of like what was to come, and he was saying, I did tab it, I don't remember which one it was, kind of making them feel like maybe they shouldn't go on the ship because of something.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I didn't mark that particular spot. But I feel like that left some like eerie gothic type elements of like, something's going, like, unfortunately with a book like Moby Dick, everyone kind of knows what's happening, but like you could tell from that writing that something was going to happen. And then a little bit later he says something about how they were kind of committed to it, and he says, but when a man suspects any wrong, it sometimes happens that if he be already involved in the matter, he insensibly strives to cover up his suspicions even from himself. And much this way it was with me. I said nothing and tried to think nothing. And so this is like prior to going on the ship, and they're feeling like maybe things aren't all right. And I liked that atmosphere of it,
mm-hmm.
but it kind of got hidden in all the words.
Yeah.
But yeah, Captain Ahab, we could talk about him here. I was going to catch up on these comments. January.
Winter time.
No, Lindsay's got something big happening.
Oh.
There may be an announcement on Instagram of a baby coming. So that's pretty cool. Audiobook listening though, and like now ebooks are a thing, Lindsay. So like ebooks while nursing. I wish I would have done that. The beginning was awkward, but I think it was not put out that way. He talked about like how it wasn't a romantic thing. I do rewatch movies, but I only watch like maybe 5 movies total a year, and so I want to make sure they're good. So I do generally just stick to ones that I already know. Yeah, nonfiction is good to reread, and like that I go in with a different mindset. There's no like,
for sure.
Where's this story going kind of thing. Yeah, definitely go for some short stories right now.
Someone should write Moby Dick as a short story.
Like I don't even know how you would do that because there's so much in there. Like, what do you? Yeah. Okay. There we go. There's some symbolism I can get behind. I can understand that. Yes, and I'm trying to figure out where I tapped that because I know I thought I had. Whole chapter called Chowder.
Yeah. Oh,
not necessary. So many things described.
He talked a lot about the chowder.
That didn't. Okay, it's called The Prophet is the chapter. Ragged Elijah. Yeah. I guess, yeah. I don't know. I'm just not good at being like, oh, this is symbolism.
Mm-hmm. I feel the same.
Where is this version? Googling.
Yeah, I want to see
that. Yeah, it's not the only one that's... Okay. Googling this now.
Oh, wow.
So we could have just skipped the entire...
Just read it in emojis.
It's like, okay. How many pages is this book, though? Like, you can buy the book for $40. It was a Kickstarter. Interesting. Okay. Someone should have said that before we read the entire book. I feel like it can't be that long.
It's a whale.
Now I'm thinking, like, yeah. Which emojis would you all use? Oh, I did, what's this chapter called? Oh. The hyena? Why was it called that? This is one where they're talking about writing their wills. It may seem strange that of all men, sailors should be tinkering at their last wills and testaments, but there are no people in the world more fond of that diversion. This was the 4th time in my nautical life that I had done the same thing. And I was just thinking, as someone that doesn't have a will, like, there's something about like your life flashing constantly before your eyes, right?
Yeah.
Like, thinking of that, having that constantly at the forefront. Yeah, I think this is where I need to go for Moby Dick, just like fully abridged, just the necessary.
I would probably read like other versions of Moby Dick, like graphic novel or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the story is good.
Yeah, I do agree. Even though just animals don't do that. They don't hunt specific people for personal reasons.
Yeah. And it sounded like it was kind of out for all people too. Because wasn't it anyone that got close, they kind of lost someone? But yeah, it was definitely out for Captain Ahab. Right, we were going to talk about him. He'd be crazy. I think I would have
quite obsessed.
Abandoned ship, hopped on one of those other ones, deserted. There's the right word I'm looking for. Apparently, Herman Melville deserted twice. He was aboard 3 whalers under conditions so brutal that he twice deserted. So that's 2 out of 3 times. So it's interesting that his character didn't follow in his footsteps.
Mm-hmm. Did that have a really negative public view when you deserted, or was it not like that in the whaling industry?
Well, I mean, he was allowed on another ship.
Yeah. But you weren't considered lesser for...
I can't say I know a whole lot about that.
Yeah, I'm curious.
At schools have students read the book and then watch the movie in class specifically so they can gather the most obvious symbols. I am so glad we didn't have to read this book in school. I mean, I hated every book that we read in school, because of the formatting. I don't know if you had to do it too, but some chapters, all of a sudden you'd have to read in class, and then everyone would take a paragraph, and then they start over there, and you're reading counting. Okay, which person am I? And then which
find your paragraph
is that? Do I know all the words? Can I pronounce them? No. Will I make a fool of myself? Yes. So I'm glad I didn't have to read this.
Most of the kids were probably doing that too.
I know. And then who remembers anything?
Because you're not listening to any of the other kids talking.
Which classic, other than The Hobbit, did you read in school that you really enjoyed?
Jean Valjean, but it's just a very abridged.
Have you read Les Mis now?
Yes.
You did. Did you like that?
Again, similar to this, the story was really, really good.
I was just wondering,
just way too long.
If liking Jean Valjean would have helped.
It helped for the first chunk of Les Mis that is very Jean Valjean heavy. But yeah, I don't know. For the rest of it, honestly, I had watched the BBC TV series for Les Mis. BBC? I'm not sure. But the little mini series for Les Mis, I had watched that before I read the actual thick novel, and that helped me get through it.
Oh yeah.
Because I could connect things. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. And then, but the story obviously gave you more of it.
Right. I think that's my problem with classics is I go into them with the mindset that I go into other books. I want to discover the story. And generally you can't do that with classics. You need that backstory.
Yeah.
There was one point where I looked online. I was like, okay, what, am I missing anything? Especially in those dry chapters.
Yeah.
Am I missing something that's happening here? Not really. Is Ishmael's name a reference to Abraham's son? Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because it says, call me Ishmael. It doesn't say, this is my name.
I didn't pick up on that.
It's the first sentence is, call me Ishmael. Well, now I'm curious. What's his real name? based on a real event. In the Heart of the Sea. I'm gonna look it up. I've never heard of it. Interesting. So this is in the Heart of the Sea is a non-fiction story of a whaler in the Pacific Ocean in 1820. That sank after a sperm whale attacked it. Cool. I've never heard of this book. I will look that up more.
That sounds like my husband.
I think that's impressive. Like, how did you pass?
You skim or watch movies or?
And why didn't I do that?
Oh, yeah. Fahrenheit 451 is really good.
I have never read that one yet.
But I only read that as an adult.
I keep waiting. I want to find a physical copy because that's how I read things, and I haven't found one. Frankenstein I read in university, and I've never read any of the...
Frankenstein I've read. Of Mice and Men we read in school, which was awful. Sorry, Zach. I did not like Of Mice and Men. But there's so much content in Of Mice and Men, and we went to a Christian high school, and so I'm so surprised that was in...
I haven't read it.
I'm surprised. You've read Catcher in the Rye, haven't you?
No.
Oh, do you own it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
They made a movie. Watch the movie.
Yeah, I would probably watch.
Is that the In the Heart of the Sea? Secrets revealed.
Use your classmates, yeah.
Man, I just did way more work than I need to. Actually, we didn't read very many like traditional classics. Like Holly and I went to the same school, but she was a grade after me, and so some of our teachers were different. Yeah. We read very different books, but we read like the Chrysalids.
Yeah, we did that.
Which, like, when people talk about classics, they never mention that. It's not like a common book. It's like some Shakespeare, Jean Valjean, which also is like just abridged. I Am David, which I reread as an adult and really loved.
I have not read that.
But that's not that old either. I feel like we didn't really read any classics.
No, I don't think there was a lot. And the ones that we did read, I feel like, were like the smaller ones. Like the Chrysalids. Like,
yeah.
Ones that were...
Well, like To Kill a Mockingbird, I guess. Did that. But also like a shorter one. But...
And a newer one.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't really read any.
Oh no. That's awesome. What a great challenge.
Do you remember them all though? Like, that's my thing. Like, I'm trying to think now. And I read them and I don't remember them.
Okay, can I use this opportunity to ask your viewers a question?
Go for it.
Okay. When I was in high school, like she said, we were in different classes, but we read a compilation of, I think they were horror short stories, which is strange because we went to Christian school. Didn't expect that from them. But anyway, one of the short stories was about, from what I can remember, there were people that would get trapped in like a forest, like a fenced in forest or something. And there was a bad guy and he was like hunting the people in his, like he would trap them and then hunt them. And I want to know what story this is because I want to reread it now. So if any of you guys feel like that's a familiar concept and know what I'm talking about, let me know. I'm done.
Yeah, sounds like The Village.
I have not read The Village.
Oh no, it's a movie. It's actually a movie.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched The Village.
I actually know a movie.
Good job.
Robinson Crusoe.
I have Robinson Crusoe on my list.
I've read that one.
Will I like it? That's the one that Jeff has for me this year.
It's better than Moby Dick.
Okay.
I'd say.
Well, we're in the right direction.
Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Never heard of that one.
Me neither. Oh, Animal Farm. Yeah, we read Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. I love it. That would
Different
be
opinions here as well.
That would be a classic I really like.
I think our Christian school, it really depended on the teacher.
Yes.
And we had a few teachers that kind of like flew under the radar that like snuck some things in or.
Yep, I would concur with that. That sounds so familiar, Zach. That must be it?
You just made Holly's day.
You did. I've been asking, you don't know how many people I've asked, like my classmates and stuff.
Well, I'm curious. Sounds like an interesting short story. Guilty Conscience. The Scarlet Letter of Mice and Men. I've never read The Scarlet Letter either. I love death in literature. Christy.
You know what? I don't disagree, actually.
Well, I think like if an author is willing to build up a character and kill them off, I think that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Because it's like
even in contemporary books, though,
yeah,
I feel like.
Yeah, like it feels like they trust their writing enough that they don't need this character that they've created.
I have such a very specific example of a series, but obviously I can't say. But yes, where I know a lot of the people that did read book 3 in this series were devastated, and I was like, this is actually kind of refreshing that like an author would kill off a beloved character.
Yeah, I'm gonna just
sounds morbid.
I'm gonna write this short story down too because I'm curious now. Always the most dead air when I'm doing a live is me Googling things. See if I can. It looks like it's on Project Gutenberg, so you can even read it online. You can read it tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read it and see if that's the one. But thanks, Zach.
Holly will let us know. Yes, we almost read it now. Chrissy's reading it tonight.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't like Shakespeare.
I never knew what was going on. Like Romeo and Juliet, like, you know, the general story, but like the different like acts, I'm like, I don't know what's going in like on in this scene or like we did Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet.
We didn't do Hamlet,
Macbeth.
But we did Macbeth. I think those are the only 2 we did. Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth. Well written.
Oh, okay. So that's why it sounded familiar, but like not totally familiar. Mentioned in there. Okay, we got a little distracted by other classics. I'm curious to know other people's thoughts. I don't know if I have a whole lot. Like, I very much skimmed the whole 300 and most of the 400s until things started getting interesting. And then, what did I tapped a few things, but nothing of like.
Nothing stuck out to me really from that portion, like the halfway mark to like nearer the end, nothing really stood out to me. So I didn't take note of anything there.
So in my book, this is 5 pages from the end. Then Starbuck is like, "Oh, Ahab, not too late it is. Even now the third day, do to desist. See, Moby Dick seeks thee not. It is thou that madly seekest him." And he's like trying to tell him to stop. I'm like, man, there's only 5 pages left, and like things are still happening. And then like the book just kind of ends because everyone dies.
Yes, can we talk about the ending?
Yeah, we can talk about the ending. We're gonna talk about the ending.
I was actually shocked. From my 30-some years of life, and this book being as old as it is, I never knew the ending. I was so surprised that the whole ship got killed, except for him. Like, I was shocked. And then it ended, like, it was done. Like, wait, what? They're dead? All of them?
Yeah, and within like a few pages.
Yeah. I thought, well, I was pretty confident Ahab was going to die. But I did not think the whole ship. So that was kind of fun for me to have, like, an unexpected ending, I guess, if you will, for a classic that I thought I knew the gist.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to think if there's like another classic that has like such high stakes for so many characters. I can't. It is different. There's a whole conversation going on here about Ishmael. He sees himself as an orphan. Oh yeah. So he was lonely right at the beginning, and then he made some friends, and then he was by himself again. He was rescued by the Rachel. I'm surprised at how short the epilogue is. Him just saying what happened and how he survived. It's like a half a page in my book. It's a very abrupt ending to the story.
Very. And when you're listening to the audiobook, you're just doing your thing, listening to this book, and then, oh, it's gone. The story's gone.
It's done. Any other final thoughts from people? I'm surprised so many people came out that, and as many people read it as they did.
That was awesome.
And even those of you that didn't read it, we're still glad you're here. I feel like because I skimmed a few hundred pages, I don't know if I count as reading it, but I'm checking it off.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not reading it again. I was surprised that he didn't make it either. At the same time, because of the whole Ishmael thing that people were talking about, it kind of made sense, like kind of foreshadowed right from the beginning of him being alone. No one's going to sign up to be whalers anytime soon. Actually, Jared was just telling me, and I don't remember enough of the details to probably even say this out loud, but I'm going to anyway. I don't know what kind of whale it is. They've started now acting violent. Kind of like it started with one family group, and now like all the whales are starting to act violent towards boats. And it's a curious thing, and it's weird because he was talking about it like as I was reading this. So strange. Curious to know the reasons. Maybe it was like Moby Dick's ancestors.
Looking for Ahab's ancestor.
Yes. Come on, it's a dangerous game. Yeah, do a short. Actually,
That would be fun, actually.
A short story. Read it tonight. We can come on tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's so many chapters. Chapter 68 seems like that should be the end, but yeah, like that's about a little more than half. There's like 100 and how many chapters? I mean, I like short chapters.
I love short chapters.
But I like it when they kind of end on a cliffhanger and you want to read the next chapter. There's 135 chapters plus the epilogue. These were just like short chapters about different topics. Different.
Yeah, for a comment like this, Charlene, I feel like I want to say you missed a lot, but you didn't really miss much.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, she caught the highlights of the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was an orca.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to say things out loud that I don't, because I'm already saying things out loud that I don't even know the full details of. Yeah. That is true. I guess that they're. So you were like on the ship with them for years.
Oh, that's a cool perspective, actually.
Yeah. Huh.
You don't see that comment very often from people. I love
No.
how slow-paced it was.
Yeah. This is my personality, and I don't think it's like having a booktube channel thing, but I really like to check books off. I don't like having books constantly on the go, and I feel like I've always been like that. I don't feel like it's new. But I would like to be like this. I would like to like some slow-paced books. If a person can change their personality.
Yeah, I wonder how you would like deliberately read slow.
You wouldn't have a unread TBR this big.
No, but even like just the act of reading, like how do you deliberately, from someone who reads naturally fast, that would be a challenge in and of itself.
Classics are definitely like slower reads because you have to like read, reread.
Yeah.
And like try to understand what you're reading. Yeah, this was just like a vengeance journey, right? Like they could have caught other whales for their resources instead of just wasting like they did. Honestly, though, in a book like this, I'm not really thinking about that as much as I'm thinking about this actual storyline. Like, I don't delve too far into like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Like, I didn't really think about this while I was reading it, but then after like getting the question asked, like, oh yeah, they spent a long time just hunting a whale. And it's amazing how much people do this in real life, right? Like, not generally a whale, but you can just latch onto something.
Their own whale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Oops, I missed one. Yeah. I agree, but I have to like be enjoying a book if I'm gonna sit with it for so long. Like, I just wanted to finish it already because I wanted to be done.
Because you wanted to get to a better book.
Because I wanted to go on to a different book.
Yeah. That's kind of, when I started in June thinking it would take me a while to get through because it is a larger book. But then as we started it, I was like, okay, I want to read something else now. And so instead of bailing on it because it was a book club, I wanted to finish it. And I think that's what made me finish it quicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And yeah, this is a good way to look at it too. Is just do a few pages a day. I'm just not good at having books on the go. Like even if I do start a book and I either like put it off for a while or I finish it. Like I don't just minus like like the Bible and maybe like a devotional book. Like for the most part, I don't ever just read a book over the course of a year or.
That's a really interesting thought because if I think of any book at all on my TBR that I would like to read a little bit of every day for however long it takes me, I don't want to read any of them that way. Like my mind says, I don't want to read any of them then if I have to read it that way, except for the Bible.
Yeah. The
Bible, I mean, it's just in a different league all its own, right?
Yeah.
So it feels, it's a bigger investment in the Bible, obviously. And it means more, but yeah, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind that I'm like, yeah, that sounds like I want to do that with this book. Like, no.
I feel like if I were to pick one, like I don't have one, like I'm looking at my shelves. I don't have the one off the top of my head, but it would be a classic. Like I don't think that, well, also because more modern books that I read are a whole different league. They're meant to be read faster.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some benefits to slowing down. I don't know. I know I'm gonna think about this.
What's the fattest fiction book you've read?
I don't know.
Or one of that you can think of off the top of your head.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Because like for me, it's Les Mis, which is like my edition has over 1,000 pages. No, it's more than that. And I try to envision myself doing that with Les Mis. A couple pages a day. And I don't think I would stick with it.
Probably Rhythm of War.
Oh, yeah? Is that one like 800?
Oh, no, it's like 16.
1,600. Okay.
I think. Let's see. Oh, this one says 12. But it depends on your edition.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure ours has more than that. One of those in that one.
But then again, that's a different genre, so it would be
Yeah.
a different feel.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I can see that.
Yeah. Man, maybe I just don't have that. I don't remember that part. There's lots of parts I don't remember.
I haven't read Pillars of the Earth or Gone with the Wind.
Oh, there's some big books, though.
I've read Count of Monte Cristo, which I really liked.
Jared's reading that one right now.
How does he like it so far?
He really liked the beginning, and now he's like, we were saying they were going off on some tangents of sorts. So.
As do classics.
Yeah, less liking it now, but he was really liking it at the beginning. Oh, well, like, that seems so doable, though. And, like, only 2 months. I'm bad at commitments, though. Like, I don't like committing to things. So, yeah, I would be bad at following through that. Lindsay's just doing all her classics. Guilt classics. I never read anything by him.
I DNF'd the Three Musketeers, but I don't know if that was a mood thing. If I was just not in the right mood, so it's more of a soft DNF.
I know. Jared also did not finish that one, but he was saying like he tried to read that like years ago, and like definitely reading classics is like a different muscle. Like reading helps build muscle, but like classics is kind of like something a little bit separate.
Its own muscle.
Yeah, it's connected, but see, it seems like 4 months is a long time, but at the same time, like that's a big book.
It is a big book.
The 4 months isn't that long. But I think I just need to. I have learned that I think I need to not put classics, especially like big ones, on a TBR because then I feel like I want to finish it by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I just need to read it myself. And then I need to not put it on Goodreads because when I update books, then I see, oh, I'm still reading this book. And I feel like bad that it's still there. And I just need to leave it off of that. They're like in a league of their own. All right. Any other last minute classic, Moby Dick, etc.? What was this short story?
I do have actually 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea on my TBR for the near future, and I've been putting it off because I didn't want any similarities to confuse me. But I'm curious if any of you guys have read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and if there are any similarities other than water.
I do not think I've read that one.
Because I keep getting it on my Libby app, and I keep having to say, deliver later, because I'm not ready for it yet.
So that's Jules Verne. What else did he write?
Around the World in 80 Days.
Okay, that was him. So for some reason, Journey to the Center of the Earth and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, in my brain, I get them confused. But I've read one and I haven't read the other.
Oh.
So I don't know why. Like,
is Journey to the Center of the Earth a lot of water content? Oh.
No, they like go into the earth. I don't know. I don't know why. My favorite author. You really liked
Around the World. Yes.
Have you read that one more than once?
Twice.
I like the Jackie Chan movie.
I don't like that movie.
I like Jackie Chan.
I don't mind Jackie Chan, but I don't like that movie. Plot driven, yay, that's me. Okay. Good to know. Oh.
A lot of the translations are awful.
Interesting.
I've read Around the World in 80 Days, but I haven't read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So
I've heard that like when you get deep into classics in terms of like translations and stuff, people can get very passionate about this translation over this translation. I just haven't read enough to have that.
That's why I haven't read Les Mis yet, because there's a translation that I hear is the best one to get. And every time I find a copy of Les Mis, it's not that translation. And it's like, it's the one book where I know a specific translation that I'm looking for. So, Mysterious Island is a sequel, sort of a sequel to 20,000 Leagues.
Oh.
Never heard of it. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Yeah, this was fun.
Next month, I'm going a little easier.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Graphic
Which book
novel
did you end up going with? Oh, yeah. Faithful Spy.
Yeah, The Faithful Spy.
Yeah, I want to read that one with you guys.
Yeah, so less commitments. Tiffany did give me a few different ideas, and there was a couple classics on there, but I did warn her Moby Dick was the month before, so like maybe just like a little smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
And it had to be with Tiffany, who likes classics.
Yeah.
I think I've had The Faithful Spy from the library like 2 or 3 times in my house all month long and not read it. So
well, I've owned it for years, and it's like it would be a quick read, right?
Yeah,
like there's not that many words. It's just we're just gonna do it on here Tiffany is gonna be replacing Holly, except she won't be in person because I can't afford to fly Tiffany out.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Actually, I'd like to go there. They have some really good thrift stores with books that are 10 cents.
Yes,
Anyway.
her
So-
sale she finds.
I don't have a date yet. I haven't talked to Tiffany, but yeah, we'll be reading The Faithful Spy here, talking about it sometime at the end of August. So, and then the month after that, Amy was going to join me and we're going to read Pat of Silverbush.
I have not heard of that.
It's an Ellen Montgomery book.
It sounded like it from
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah, so. Actually, wait. You bought me the copy.
Did I?
You gave it to me.
That was the one I got you?
Yeah, it was the one you got me.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Fun.
So, you have heard of it.
Apparently I have.
There's some like
cool.
really cool illustrations and stuff in there. It's like, it's not graphic novel, it's like illustrated novel, but then like there's some graphic novel pages.
Yeah.
That would be a really good one to do together. Okay, well, thanks for being here, guys, and maybe I will see you guys next month. Thanks to Holly.
Thanks for having me.
Making me push through. I never would have made it through without her. So.
Oh, well, I'm honored to be a part of your book club.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.